Blackfoot versus Trappers. The poison bullet ambush of 1836. A single handshake with a ghostly grizzly would seal the fate of fur trappers. In the winter of 1836, welcome to Native Legends and History Stories. Subscribe now for more untold tales of survival and warfare on America's dangerous frontier. Blood trails across fresh snow. The massive grizzly's paw engulfs Isaac P. Rose's right hand, not his left. Never his left, its grip ceremonial. Deliberate, unlike any bear encounter in Rose's 15 years of trapping through the crystalline Montana night. The 8-foot beast's breath mingles with the Arctic wind. Then it speaks. Rose jolts awake beneath his buffalo robe, the dream's grip still heavy upon him. Around their small camp near Clark's Fork on the Yellowstone River, his fellow trappers Joe Meek, Jack Larson, and Mark had already packed their gear. Their movements precise, practiced over countless mornings in hostile territory. Each man maintains a loaded rifle within arm's reach as they work Meek's trademark. Double barrel rests against a pine trunk, both hammers cocked. Larison keeps his Kentucky long rifle slung across his back, the wooden stock marked with 23 notches, one for each successful shot against charging grizzlies. Frost-rimmed branches crack in the distance. Their 8 horses stamp restlessly, steam rising from their flanks, for of the animals grown under 800 pounds of fresh buffalo meat, bound for Jim Bridger's main camp 30 miles north. Their 30 men wait on the edge of starvation, their own hunting efforts thwarted by the deepening winter and increasingly bold Blackfoot patrols. The horses' loads represent more than just food. Each carefully butchered and packed quarter weighs nearly 200 pounds. Wrapped in the animal's own hide to prevent freezing, the meat must remain above 0 degrees to avoid spoiling. Yet below freezing to prevent attracting predators, the trappers have mastered this delicate balance through years of trial and deadly error. As Rose helps secure the loads with specialized diamond hitches, knots that tighten rather than loosen with the horse's movement, he recounts the bear's visit. His hands work automatically, crossing the ropes in practiced patterns, while his mind replays every detail. The creature they call Caleb had appeared, insisted on his right hand specifically. Joe Meek's leather-worn face darkens. Watch yourself, Rose. You'll shake hands with Beelzebub before nightfall. The name sends ice through Rose's veins. That has nothing to do with the bitter cold. These are men who track grizzlies through snowstorms, reading signs invisible to untrained eyes. A broken twig here, a tuft of fur there. The slight depression in snow that marks a bear's day. Old print they've survived buffalo stampedes that shake the earth like thunder. Learn to recognize the warning signs seconds before 2,000 herds erupt into motion. They've watched avalanches swallow whole hunting parties in heartbeats, leaving nothing but silence and smooth snow where 12 men once stood. Yet at the mention of Beelzebub, their name for the Blackfoot warriors, even veteran trappers check their rifle bands and count their powder loads. Each man carries 50 lead balls, carefully measured to match their rifle's bore. Their powder horns contain exactly 100 loads each, no more, no less. Too much powder means a dangerous misfire. Too little means a wounded animal or enemy that can still kill you. The Blackfoot's shadow looms larger than any grizzly over these northern territories. Their ancestors migrated from the deep forests near Maine, moving steadily westward, until they claimed the vast expanses of modern-day Montana and Alberta. For generations, they hunted on foot with devastating efficiency. 50 warriors could drive to 100 buffalo over carefully chosen cliffs, the thundering mass of flesh and bone answering to precisely placed hunters who seemed to materialize from the very rocks themselves. Their hunting techniques reflect generations of accumulated knowledge. Scouts study weather patterns, wind direction, and herd movement for days before a hunt. Young warriors learn to mimic wolf calls with uncanny accuracy, using the sounds to guide buffalo toward natural traps. The tribe's most skilled members can read the land like a map, identifying every ravine, rise, and rock formation that might conceal an ambush point or provide an escape route. Before horses reach their territory, in the 1700s, Blackfoot hunters developed skills that turned the harsh landscape itself into a weapon. They studied every ravine, every stretch of prairie grass, every snow-laden ridge where other tribes might need 10 hunters to bring down a single buffalo. The Blackfoot's foot-bound tactics could harvest dozens in a single, coordinated strike. Their hunting grounds became an intricate network of natural traps and killing zones, each feature of the landscape transformed into a tactical advantage. The introduction of horses transformed their already formidable capabilities. While southern tribes like the Comanche had been mounted for generations, the Blackfoot's northern isolation delayed their acquisition of horses. But once they adapted, they revolutionized their hunting and warfare techniques. A single Blackfoot warrior astride a war pony could now accomplish what once required an entire hunting party. Their horses, trained to respond to knee pressure alone, left both hands free for weapons. Warriors developed new techniques for shooting accurately at full gallop, using their mount's momentum to drive arrows completely through a buffalo's ribcage. Their raiding parties could strike like prairie lightning, appearing from nowhere, vanishing into the vastness before victims could mount a response. 15 mounted warriors could overwhelm a caravan of 40 traders. In minutes, they mastered the art of the feigned retreat, drawing pursuers into carefully planned ambushes, where hidden warriors would emerge from snowdrifts or dense brush, firing poison-tipped arrows that could kill with the slightest scratch. Now they guard their hunting grounds with a ferocity that makes even hardened mountain men waken. Cold sweats. Where a grizzly might kill quickly, the Blackfoot have refined the art of prolonged suffering. They reserve special torments for those who dare hunt buffalo in their territory. Red-hot coals pressed into flesh, victims staked out under the merciless summer sun, bodies carved apart piece by piece, while women and children mocked their screams. Their torture techniques serve both as punishment and warning. Survivors are sometimes intentionally released, their mutilated bodies serving as living messages to other would-be trespassers. The horses snort and paw nervously at the snow, as if they too can sense the weight of Meek's warning. Rose flexes his right hand, the one the dream bear had insisted on shaking. His fingers brush the well-worn stock of his rifle, counting the precious lead balls in his shot pouch. Each bullet represents life itself, out here against a Blackfoot war party. Every shot must find its mark. A missed shot means wasted powder and lead that can't be replaced. A poor shot means a wounded enemy who can still kill you, and no shot at all means a death that would make a grizzly's embrace feel merciful. By comparison, the trappers perform one final equipment check before moving out. Powder horns are secured. Spare flints wrapped in oiled leather to keep them dry. Each man carries 3 knives, a skinning blade, a fighting knife, and a small backup tucked into their boot. Their rifles, wrapped in weatherproof hides, are loaded with double-strength charges. Winter transforms the northern plains into a stark battleground between fur trappers and their most feared adversaries. The Blackfoot, having mastered warfare on horseback within decades of acquiring their first mounts, now dominate these territories with unprecedented control. During the cold months, which claim nearly half the year, their villages occupy strategic positions in wooded river valleys, not just for shelter, but to guard their most precious resource, the winter grazing buffalo herds. The same desperate need that drives Rose and his companions to risk death for buffalo meat makes the Blackfoot even more dangerous. During these months for them, the buffalo represents far more than food. It is the foundation of their entire civilization. Each animal provides the raw materials for their survival: thick winter hides for their teepees, bones and horns for tools, sinews for bowstrings, meat that, when properly preserved, sustains families through the harshest months. A single adult buffalo, properly harvested, yields enough resources to support a family for weeks. The largest bulls, reaching up to 2,000 pounds, roam the continent's middle in vast herds from northern Canada to Mexico. Conservative estimates place their numbers between 30 and 50 million, though some suggest as many as 75 million once thundered across these plains. This abundance might suggest enough for all, but the Blackfoot view these herds as a sacred trust, one they'll defend to the death. Hugh Monroe, a Canadian trapper who gained rare insight into the tribe after being adopted into their ranks, witnessed firsthand the price of violating this trust. His account of a Blackfoot war party discovering another tribe's hunting camp chills even veteran mountain men to the bone. When Monroe pleaded for mercy, "There are plenty of buffalo," The warrior lone walker's only response was a grim smile that promised blood. The resulting attack demonstrated why even a hint of buffalo hunting in Blackfoot territory fills men like Rose with dread. 7 warriors from the trespassing tribe met death so gruesome that Monroe, hardened by years on the frontier, struggled to describe them. The Blackfoot didn't just kill. They sent messages written in flesh and blood. Each mutilated body served as a warning. Touch our buffalo, share their fate. The celebration that followed wasn't mere bloodlust. It was a ceremony reinforcing their sacred duty to protect the herds. Every scalp taken, every trophy claimed represented not just victory, but a message to all who would threaten their way of life. The Blackfoot have refined torture into an art form that makes even seasoned trappers wake, screaming from nightmares. Victims staked out in summer heat until their minds break. Flesh carved away piece by piece, while children mocked their cries. Hot coals pressed into wounds to cauterize and prolong suffering. These accounts weigh heavy on Rose and his companions as they press deeper into contested hunting grounds. Their own company, 30 strong men under Jim Bridger's leadership, waits 30 miles north on the edge of starvation. The meat they carry could mean survival through winter's grip, or it could bring a death that makes starvation seem merciful. 8 stone-headed arrows arranged in a sunrise pattern, discovered embedded in a trailside tree, serve as the first warning. The Blackfoot mark their territories with such signs, each pattern carrying specific threats. The sunrise pattern means death before the next dawn for any who continue forward. Rose recognizes it instantly. He's seen the aftermath of those who ignored such warnings. Just 3 months earlier, they'd found what remained of a 5-man hunting party that had disregarded similar signs. The Badas told a story of prolonged torment. Fingernails pulled out one by one, joints slowly dislocated, skin flayed in precise patterns. One man had lived long enough to describe the 16-hour ordeal to a rescue party. His last words, warned of how the Blackfoot had forced each man to watch his companions torture, promising that their own suffering would be worse. Yet the trappers press on. The 800 pounds of buffalo meat they carry represents more than food. It's the difference between their company's survival or a slow death in the wilderness. They've taken precautions, muffling their horses' hooves with leather wrappings, traveling only in early morning when the freezing air carries sound, poorly choosing routes through rocky ground, where tracks are harder to follow. The buffalo herds they encounter confirm their worst fears. Hundreds of animals scatter at unusual distances, showing the heightened wariness that comes from recent contact with hunters. Rose, whose marksmanship has kept the company fed through to harsh winters, can't get within 300 yards, far beyond reliable rifle range. The animal's behavior speaks as clearly as any warning sign. Blackfoot hunting parties are active in the area. A horse's nervous whicker breaks the tense silence. The sound, barely louder than a whisper, carries the weight of a thunderclap. Rose exchanges glances with me. Both men recognize the signs. Their mounts can sense other horses nearby. The buffalo's behavior, the warning signs. The horse's unease all point to an imminent encounter. Their right hands drift to their rifle stocks, each man counting his remaining shots. Against a Blackfoot war party, accuracy means everything. The morning sun casts long shadows through the trees, perfect cover for warriors who've learned to strike like prairie lightning. Somewhere in those shadows, other eyes are watching. Other hands are tightening on weapons. The fur trappers face a devil's choice: press on toward their starving companions with their precious cargo, or abandon the meat and flee. Either choice could mean death. The only question is whether it will come quick from a bullet, or slow under the knives of warriors defending their sacred trust. The fur trappers' decision to retreat comes too late. Their attempt to slip southeast through rolling hill turns deadly as 8 Blackfoot warriors materialize from the landscape. Like spirits, the ambush position is perfectly chosen. A shallow ravine where frozen ground prevents silent approach, where steep walls funnel fleeing horses into prepared killing zones. The memory of Manhead's death weighs heavy on Rose's mind as war cries split the morning air. Just weeks earlier, he'd watched the Delaware tribesman die in writhing agony from a single poisoned bullet wound to the calf. The Blackfoot's deadly ammunition, created through a gruesome ritual of rattlesnake venom and dried buffalo meat, can kill with the slightest scratch. Each warrior carries 30 of these poison rounds, reserved specifically for trespassers who dare hunt their buffalo. The lead warrior closes to 10 feet, close enough for Rose to see the intricate war paint patterns, indicating his rank as a proven buffalo defender. 3 red stripes across his chest mark successful defenses of hunting grounds. 12 teeth braided into his hair speak of previous victories over fur trappers. His rifle, a captured U.S. Army model, holds deadly accuracy at this range. The first volley erupts like thunder. 5 musket balls tear through the air around Rose in a deadly constellation. The first punches through his cap, missing his skull by inches. The second rips a burning path across his chest, severing his shot pouch strap. 40 precious lead balls scatter across the frozen ground, leaving him with only the 5 rounds already loaded. The third shot threads through his buckskin glove, grazing skin but somehow missing bone. The fourth bullet finds its mark. It strikes just above Rose's right elbow, the lead ball smashing through muscle and bone before exiting through his forearm. The impact spins him halfway around in his saddle. Blood immediately soaks his sleeve, turning the buckskin dark crimson. His right arm hangs useless, every movement sending shards of agony through his body. The Blackfoot warrior who fired the shot recognizes his advantage. He spurs his war pony forward, reaching for Rose's bridle with his left hand, while his right moves to seek the wounded trapper. The warrior's horse, trained for close combat, moves in perfect coordination with its rider. Its shoulder slams against Rose's mount, adding to the chaos despite his shattered arm. Rose maintains his grip on the reins through sheer desperation. His riding whip becomes an improvised weapon, the braided leather, striking the warrior's face repeatedly. Each impact requires Rose to fight through waves of pain as the movement jars his wounded arm. Blood from his chest wound makes the reins slippery, forcing him to grip tighter with failing strength. His horse, panicked by the smell of blood and powder smoke, lurches violently away from the attacking warrior. The sudden movement saves Rose's life, but costs him his rifle, the weapon, a custom-made Kentucky long rifle that served him through 15 years of trapping, slides from his lap and crashes to the frozen ground. The sound of it clattering away might as well be a death knell. Without it, he's defenseless, except for his hunting knife and tomahawk. Behind him, the battle rages. Jack Larson's horse screams as an arrow finds its mark, the shaft buried deep in its flank. Joe Meek fires twice in rapid succession, his double barrel roaring defiance. A Blackfoot warrior falls, but 2 more take his place. Markhead's horse stumbles in the deep snow, nearly throwing its rider as poisoned bullets snap past like angry wasps. Rose's world narrows to staying mounted as his horse bolts. Each hoofbeat sends jolts of agony through his shattered arm. The reins, slick with his own blood, threaten to slip from his weakening grip. Behind him, he hears the distinctive crack of his own rifle, now in Blackfoot hands and turned against him. The bullet winds past his head, close enough that he feels its passage stir his hair. The horse's mad dash carries them toward the other trappers, but their situation is deteriorating rapidly. Larson, seeing no alternative, cuts loose the precious buffalo meat, sending hundreds of pounds of their hard-won cargo tumbling across the snow. The sight of their sacrificed bounty, meat that could have meant survival for their starving companions, adds bitter fury to their desperate flight. "Are you killed, old boy?" Larson's shout carries over the chaos of combat. Not killed, but badly wounded, Rose manages through gritted teeth. "Hurry it forward, boys, and save yourselves if you can." Blood loss begins to take its toll. Rose's vision blurs at the edges as his horse thunders through the killing ground. His right arm, completely useless now, swings like a broken branch with each stride. The constant movement prevents the wound from clotting, leaving a crimson trail across the pristine snow. The pain comes in waves that threaten to sweep away his consciousness. In a stroke of desperate fortune, the Blackfoot halt their pursuit to claim the abandoned buffalo meat. The spiritual and practical value of reclaiming their sacred resource outweighs the satisfaction of completing their ambush. Their war cries fade behind the fleeing trappers, replaced by the drumming of their own horses' hooves as they race toward the distant safety of their main camp. But Rose knows his fight isn't over. The bullet that shattered his arm wasn't just lead. The burning sensation spreading from the wound confirms his worst fears. Like Manhead before him, he's been struck by a poison bullet. The Blackfoot's deadly mixture of rattlesnake venom and dried buffalo meat now courses through his veins. The 30-mile ride to camp becomes a race, not just against pursuit, but against an agonizing death that no frontier medicine can prevent. The 30-mile ride becomes a battle between life and death. Rose slumps forward over his horse's neck, each hoof beat sending waves of agony through his shattered arm. Blood loss and poison work their way through his system. His thoughts scatter like autumn leaves. The other trappers take turns supporting him in the saddle as his strength fails. By the time they reach the main camp, Rose barely clings to consciousness. 6 men lift him from his blood-soaked saddle, carrying him to the medical tent, where Jim Bridger himself and a Delaware medicine man wait. Their examination confirms the worst. The bullet that shattered Rose's elbow carried the Blackfoot's deadly poison. The poison's effects manifest with terrifying speed. Rose's arm swells to twice its normal size, the skin splitting at his shoulder like overripe fruit. Every nerve in his body seems to catch fire. The slightest sound, a twig snapping, a whispered word, the rustle of canvas, strikes like physical blows. Even the dim light filtering through the tent walls causes waves of agony behind his eyes. His fellow trappers maintain a constant vigil. They clean his wounds with boiled water, change the blood-soaked bandages, try to coax water between his cracked lips. But against the Blackfoot's rattlesnake venom, frontier medicine offers little hope. Most men hit by poison bullets die within hours. Those who survive the first day face an even more grueling death as the poison slowly destroys their bodies. Through 5 days and nights, Rose battles the venom. His nervous system, as he later describes, becomes fearfully disorganized. Muscle spasms rack his body with such violence that 4 men must hold him down. The wound itself turns black, the flesh around it taking on the mottled colors of advanced decay. The stench becomes so powerful that even hardened mountain men must step outside the tent to keep from retching. Few expect him to survive the week. They've seen too many men die from poison bullets, some quickly, some lingering for days in agony. The Delaware medicine man shakes his head gravely, having never seen anyone survive a poison bullet. Wound of the severity, even Bridger, known for his iron optimism, begins planning how to transport Rose's body back to civilization. But on the 7th day something changes. The swelling in Rose's arm begins to recede. The fever that has raged through his body breaks. By the 10th day he can keep down small amounts of food. The Delaware medicine man attributes his survival to the massive blood loss during the initial escape. The bleeding may have cleaned enough poison from his system to give him a fighting chance. Just as Rose regains the strength to sit upright, a new threat emerges. Maslino, a Mexican scout, stumbles into camp with an arrow wound in his ankle. The scout had escaped a Blackfoot war party by leaping off a cliff, a desperate gamble that saved his life. His news chills the camp. 1,000 Blackfoot lodges are gathering just 4 miles south on the Yellowstone River. When they discover the trapper's location, no poison bullets will be needed. The sheer numbers will ensure total annihilation. Bridger immediately orders the construction of defensive positions. Men who've spent their lives avoiding confrontation now build walls of logs and stone. They dig rifle pits, stockpile ammunition. Prepare for a siege.